If you don't know these metrics, it's going to be a lot harder to grow your business. I'm making this video because it took me way too long to learn how important these metrics really are. For over a decade of my entrepreneurial journey, I thought I was doing a good job with my numbers, and I was very wrong. My goal with this video is to shave some years of learning off your journey. I hope it accomplishes that. When we think about the remodeling or custom home business, what is it really? It's a game of sales and marketing followed by logistics. You need to be able to attract projects over and over and over again. You're not in the recurring revenue business. People aren't buying kitchens on subscription from you, they buy once. I know, you get repeat business, but it's usually on a multi-year cycle and not every client repeats. You need to have a strong marketing and sales program. After that, it's logistics. You have a million moving parts, timelines, and personnel that all need to line up to get the project complete on time and on budget. Sales and marketing, then logistics. How does this all break down into key metrics that will allow you to scale up? First up, we need to take a look at your business model. We need to understand what a customer is worth to you and what it costs you to get that customer. So metric number one is customer lifetime value, LTV. This is how much a customer is worth to your business. It's not the revenue associated with that customer, it's the gross margin. Your cost of goods sold, which are materials and labor, are out the door immediately. What's left, your gross margin, is what your customer is really worth to you. If your average project size is $150,000 and your average gross margin is 33%, a customer is worth $50,000 to you. Metric number two, CAC. Cost to acquire a customer. We need to know what it costs you to get a customer in the door so that we know if your business model is profitable. If it costs you $60,000 to acquire a customer that's only worth $50,000, that's not good. Most people make this mistake of calculating customer acquisition costs by only including marketing investments. To calculate your cost to acquire a customer, you need to add up all of your sales and marketing expenses, including salaries or partial salaries for owners, advertising, branding, technology, everything used by sales and marketing. Take that and divide it by the number of customers you signed during that same time period. As an example, if you spent $250,000 on sales and marketing, which included 50% of the owner's salary since you spend half your time selling, and you landed 30 projects, you divide the two and get $8,333. This is what it costs you all in to acquire a customer. Remember, a customer is worth $50,000 to you. That's a 6-to-1 return, which is amazing. So you put $1 into your sales and marketing machine and you get 6 back in gross margin. Ideally, you're above 3-to-1 because that leaves 2/3 of your gross margin to run the rest of the business. If you're not above 3-to-1, there are really only 2 things you can do to fix this problem. And take note, if you're below 3-to-1, you want to fix this problem first. You most likely aren't profitable and you won't be able to sustain this for long. If you're below 3-to-1, you need to make your customers worth more, which means we need to increase LTV, or you need to increase your sales and marketing efficiency, which is decreasing your cost to acquire. To make your customers worth more, you have 3 things you can do. 1, you can increase your pricing. 2, you can target higher end customers and larger projects. And 3, you can decrease your cost to deliver either through labor efficiency or getting materials at cheaper prices. To increase your sales and marketing efficiency, remember that's decreasing your CAC, you'll want to look at your conversion rates through the funnel. Lead conversion, sales conversion rates, and so on. That leads us to 3 more critical metrics: booking rate, conversion rate, closing rate. What is booking rate? Your booking rate tells you how many of your raw leads schedule a call with you. For example, if you had 100 leads come in last month and 40 of them scheduled an initial call, you'd have a 40% booking rate. Last year here at Builder Funnel, our booking rate was 31.12%. Why does this metric matter? It tells you how many of your leads are engaged leads, meaning they want to engage in the sales process. Next, we want to look at conversion rate. Conversion rate tells us how well we're converting phone pre-qualification calls with those engaged leads and then turning them into first appointments. This metric typically reveals one of 2 critical things. 1, how qualified our leads are, and 2, how well you convert phone calls to appointments. If your conversion rate is low, it could be that leads coming in are a bad fit. What's a bad fit lead? It means wrong area, wrong project type, or not a budget fit. If leads are meeting these criteria and your conversion rate is still low, you probably have a sales issue and you want to invest in some training for you or your team so that you can set more appointments. And finally, we have closing rate. This is the number of projects that you sign versus the number of appointments you go on. If you go on 30 appointments and you sign 10 customers, you'll have a 33.3% closing rate. This metric will give you a good indication of your value proposition and your ability to present and close. When you're looking at decreasing your cost to acquire a customer, you have to start at the top with raw leads and then move all the way down to closed customers. Let's go through a full example. Your all-in sales and marketing expenses last year were $250,000 and you generated 1,000 leads. You had a booking rate of 30%, which means that you had 300 phone pre-qualification calls. Now, out of those calls, you booked 100 appointments. This means your conversion rate was 33.3%. Of those 100 appointments, you closed 25 projects. That means your closing rate is 25%. If you take the $250,000 and divide it by 25 projects, your CAC was $10,000. If you were trying to decrease that number, you can work to improve any or all of these conversion rates. For example, increasing your booking rate from 30% to 35%, with all the other conversions staying the same, you would have landed 29 projects versus 25. And then in turn, that decreases your CAC to $8,620 from $10,000. Let's review what we've covered so far. We've got customer lifetime value, which is your average project size times your average gross margin. We looked at your cost to acquire a customer, which is all sales and marketing expenses divided by the number of customers. We've looked at booking rate, which is raw leads to phone pre-qualification calls. We talked about conversion rate, which is phone pre-qualification calls to first appointments. And then we've covered closing rate, which is your first appointment to signed customers. We have two important metrics left. Next up is front-end cash collected. We want to understand how much cash your business collects within the first 30 days of signing a customer. But it isn't all the cash. We want to know what the gross margin is. As an example, let's say you typically collect about 35% of a project budget within the first 30 days. If you're doing a $100,000 kitchen, that means you collect $35,000. But not all of that $35,000 is yours. The gross margin is. So let's take 30% gross margin off that $35,000 and we're left with $10,500. That's your true front-end cash collected. Now, why does this matter? Well, one of the most important reasons it matters is the comparison to your cost to acquire a customer. If it costs you $10,000 to acquire a customer, the question becomes, how long until you're paid back? If you can pour $10,000 in and then you get $10,500 out within 30 days, you can go reinvest that money again instantly. Which brings us to the final metric, which is your overall business cash flow. Ideally, your cash flow is greater than $20,000 a month. This allows you to continuously invest in acquiring customers month in and month out, fueling your growth organically without outside investment. What are some benchmarks to look for in all of these metrics that we've covered? LTV to CAC, we want a 3-to-1 ratio or greater. Front-end cash collected to CAC, 1-to-1 or greater. Business cash flow, greater than $20,000 a month. Booking rate, greater than 20%. Conversion rate, greater than 30%. Closing rate, greater than 30%. There you have it. If you're not tracking the metrics in your business today, I highly suggest you do so. Our business changed tremendously when we started tracking these numbers and working to improve them. Not only did we hit the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing private companies in the US, we had our largest year of growth in company history. If you found this helpful, hitting subscribe or leaving a comment means the world to me and lets us know that you want to see more content like this. See you next time here on Builder Funnel TV.